Hello, my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and welcome to Introduction to Business. We'll be starting Chapter 3. This is a series of 20 lessons, 20 chapters. You're taking me on an online class, a face-to-face class, or a hybrid class. And this is just a supplement to what we've discussed in our lectures or in our forums. A supplement to materials that you've been exposed to through the interactive software that through the publisher that the community college that I teach at utilizes. And also it gives you it's like an overview of everything we discussed. And now what you do, you will basically, I provided you concept maps for Blackboard Course Management System or directly in my class. What you will do now is take you'll have the concept map to the second tier. So now you could see what did I miss, what did I forget when I did the reading, when I did my own notes, when I did the review, and you should be good. Okay, so we're going to, chapter 3 is going to be on global reality. Now, most of you for this class, you'll be doing a feasibility study form. We're trying to get you prepared. You'll be working as a team of 5, and you have to come up with a new concept, a new idea. So what I want you to think about is, am I going to be bringing my supplies in? And that's one way. We bring in a lot of stuff, but because our the U.S. dollar is strong on the exchange rate, which means we could buy more. But it's harder for us to sell our products because of the strong dollar. It costs more when they exchange their currency to ours equivalent to buy our goods. So sometimes, from a small business perspective, it's nice to have a weaker dollar. That's what you see the Chinese doing in the global. When we talked a little bit about economics last chapter, in keeping their yuan basically low, so then their goods are less expensive. Otherwise, if I'm saying I buy this from Japan, everything's made in Japan. China. Why would I want to just buy a U.S.-made product right here? Because the cost difference is very minimal. Okay. All right, so we're going to be talking about global reality for introduction to business. This is, you're not going to know everything about global, but it's going to be a good foundational start. Give you some concept. We're going to talk about sovereign wealth, how to get trade, exporting, importing. You have a general idea. Small businesses, what's the advantage of small business? How do you measure? How does the government and industry measure global trade? Maybe just specific for your industry. And the balance of payments, what are some of the trade agreements and what are the benefits for a small business, medium, large business with those agreements, and legal concerns we should be considering when we're sending goods overseas or bringing in supplies from overseas. Okay, so let's start. And I've got this already, I think, like by the 200, let me see. And remember, those of you had me before, you're already paying for the class. If you just happen to find me on YouTube, enjoy. But try to support your community college. You have people with high advanced degrees, PhDs, doctoral degrees in different disciplines, and they not only have the academic understanding, but they also have the practicality, because most of them have been in the business world, either as an entrepreneur or a small business owner or a medium-sized company, or in the corporate side of multinational. So you could get it. The only thing is we just don't like doing all the research. Not all. I'm just talking for majority of people. We want to give back to the community. You know what? Here you actually get the instructor teaching you versus at least for the foundational areas. So you got a good foundation. So when you go for your advanced degrees, and you may have a TA that may know a little bit more than you, but you have that foundation through the individuals who lived through it, and also have the academic credentials to back that. Okay, so why do we trade? Real quickly, I'll go through this, and as you know, I always try to keep it underneath an hour. I think the last one was 30 minutes, so I'm just going to keep on moving along. We already discussed this. This is just a recap, so hey, now I remember. It's like a summarization of when you do a presentation. So you look at the course you've taken me in, the interaction, everything else. Now you could just summarize that. And now what we're doing is lock it in, so it's in your moves from your short-term memory, hopefully to maybe medium-term or long term is where I'm at. So when you need it, you could retrieve it quickly. So the more senses you utilize, you're watching it, you're hearing me, you're writing with your own hand what I haven't provided for you, and concept maps that I do provide for you. And now all the senses you are utilizing it, you'll remember this. so you could retrieve it. Remember, you're going for your either you're a business owner or an entrepreneur, small business, or you're working for a corporation, or you're taking this for professional growth class, or to for professional courses to maintain your discipline, credibility, and being current in what's going on. Okay, so free trade, movement of goods and services among nations. Oops. Remember, we're live here, so I just keep on moving along like we'd be in a classroom. Among nations without political or economic barriers. Just like the U.S. I could go from Illinois to Wisconsin or even to California. There's no trade barriers. I may have to pay the taxes if I'm doing business there, but I could just pass a relative without any kind of problem. There's no borders and nothing else. The EU is trying to do the same kind of conceptual when you look at the European Union, but it's still a little bit harder. You know what I mean? Because it's each country that's now part of the union. Look at like Illinois would have been a country, what do you call Wisconsin would have been a country, but now we all join together underneath a federation. They kind of have like a federation, and I'll go real quickly, remember, just as a reminder. So they still have borders. It's like, we all look at it, we're all Americans. Irrelevant to the culture or background or whatever. But in the European Union, we're all European, but we're all Polish, or we're all English, or what do you call it? Whatever nation. I was going to say Russian. Not Russian. They're not in the European Union. I'm talking about. So I'm looking at that as. I was going to say Turkey. So if you're looking at that. That mixture, they still want their own sovereignty right. They're now, that's the way the U.S. was when we went through, we had the, for lack of better words, the Civil War and other things, and solidified us as a nation, as a whole. Still individuals, but still to the whole. Okay, so now, what you look at, no country can produce all you can. That's why you have to trade. You're not the best. Technology used to be our strength, and right now it's more innovation because the cost. India is doing very well in technology. So is China. Japan, South Korea, and that's good. That's good for competition. It's good for competitors, and it's good because it basically brings in new ideas from different perspectives. We're expanding to what we know. And some of the pros and cons are. And the author did a real nice job of pros and cons. Domestic workers may not get the job, productivity increases. So look at this. I opened this up just in case you forgot. Freeze it. Remember, this is a video. You can stop it and look at it and move on. I'm not going to spend time in here because we already spent that time in the classroom. Some of our natural resources are a beneficial exchange. So what do we have to, let's say we don't make anything, which we basically, now it's just beginning back to manufacturing, when you find out it can't be a country to just service everything. But we have our technology, innovation, new ideas. We're coming back to manufacturing more with technology to keep our costs in line and everything else. But look at Africa. If I look at Africa for diamonds, for the biggest thing to have the biggest diamonds, just because natural. There's diamonds all over the world, but there is a higher concentration there. So that is one of their what do you call it, for lack of better words, one of their strengths. That so they have diamonds, but they can't produce other things. So what do they do? What do I do the best? I export. What I don't do as best, I import, looking at the cost and all the different economic factors affecting my country, my region. It has to be all put into there. Okay, so that's where our beneficial exchange. Global competition keeps prices down. 6 billion potential customers, 193 countries. There's more countries, smaller ones. These are the ones that we are in very active within the trade, and 75% in developing countries. Developing countries means they are growing in the economy. China used to be a developing country, now it's basically a major power. Like it or not, some people say, oh, not yet, not according to whatever. They're very influential, and they have growth. But you have other countries that are developing and will be stronger also. Okay, so we've done that. Small business. Okay, we've done that. Right trade. Small business make up a key part of global job growth. They provide almost half of the private sector, where your work's going to be at in small business. Okay, only 30% of small business export. Why? We don't know how. Look, you got FedEx, you got UPS. They will help small businesses in exporting. The cash Master Visa card, they'll convert it to exchange rate. So you really don't have an excuse. But in languages, a lot of languages, there's a lot of web software that'll automatically for a small fee take your website and convert it into into the whole country where you're trying to sell different languages. So technology makes it affordable. But why? Because we at community colleges, a lot of colleges don't stress that. We stress more. I open up my business here. Fine. Could I bring some stuff in? How could I sell? You have to, you act you think locally, but you act locally and think locally, but you also have to think and look out globally and utilize both of those, because that's the world we're living in. That's the market we're in. That expands your market. You still make your goods and do everything else. You find different sections. You don't know what's out there. The internet just opens up a lot, or e-commerce, okay? I'm stretching it. Okay, so we got the advantages. We talked a little bit about that. Comparative advantage. I discussed that. Do what you do the best. Specialized software. Now it's more China and India. Just as it. Absolute. Then we talked about Africa. Remember, we discussed this a little more in detail in our forums within the rest of your classmates and within the class discussions when you did that exercise coming in. For your feasibility study, you will have to tell me why you're not exporting or why you're not importing, or you have future plans. You may not say, hey, for the first year I want to come in here, but I still should have at least a website or something out there. You don't know. It may not, domestically may not happen, and all of a sudden your international market becomes your main market. It's a secondary contingency. Don't give up. One area has economic recession, depression, whatever. Other area maybe thriving. Ship your goods there. You have to have your feeders out there already planted, and maybe not real thick, real heavy, but you're out there already. You have different areas from one side. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Have several baskets out there. Okay, and then import, purchase goods and service. U.S. is the largest importer, and we're not the largest exporter. We don't export much, we import a lot, and that's where we have the deficit and balance of trade. Okay, measure global trade. Remember, you already have this, so if I look at the balance of trade, the total value, let me make this a little bit bigger. So I got a lot of space here. Let's go, what do you think? Let's go 300. Just if you're looking at your for lack of better words, you're looking at the iTablet or a tablet or on your phone, it's a little bit easier to see. Okay, measure of global trade, balance of trade, total value of a nation's exports compared to its imports. That's a balance. Trade surplus, value of a country's export is more than its import. So basically, I'm exporting more and importing less. That's what I want. I want a trade surplus, trade deficit. I think this is where we are. The value of our country's exports is less than its import. That's why we have a trade deficit, and that's why we have an unfavorable balance of trade. And this is basically when you go on balance payments, a favorable difference between money coming in the country and going out from exports. All right, and leaving the country from its imports. Unfavorable is we import more when money flows out of the country. Remember, we're importing more, so our cash is going out, and then basically people could buy more of our stuff, or they have more influence over us because they've got our currency out there. Because a lot of times, remember the Visa, MasterCards, international or global, so they have no problem. Okay, let's talk about dumping. We discussed this dumping, and when I used the example of comparing, both companies should be, let's say you and me are entrepreneurs. We both open up similar businesses, or maybe a different geographic area, but has the same demographic, same economic flexibility, economic growth. Everything is constant. All of a sudden, you're making money, and I'm not making money. I'm using the same advertising company, similar in my America, and I'm going, what's going on? And I said, hey, I just understand it. You're beating me. What do you got? How do you get that magic touch? And you say, I don't see why you can't compete with me. You just don't have it. I just know how to talk to customers or whatever. So I kind of feel bad. And then later on, I do some research and I find out the reason he's so successful or she's so successful because their parents are paying into it. And so they say, hey, we're helping you along here, so we'll pay your rent, we'll pay this. So now he has a higher profitability, and so on the paper he looks or she looks better. This is the same thing what happens with dumping. Dumping is basically unfair trade practice, and it's the government that basically is subsidizing that business or that operation. And then when they come in here, so their prices are lower here than they are in their own host country where they made it, and then we can't compete. and we're almost, sometimes we do the same. I'm not going to say, I'm just looking at the concept as a whole. I'm not going to say, America's business is business. You have some companies, multinational, so I'm not going to say, but I'm just, I want you to understand the conceptual idea. So I can't compete with that because on the bottom line, when I'm looking at it, I'm saying, I don't see how they do the expenses. They're undercutting me because they're still making the profitability. But it's like the government is paying for that cost differential to bring your prices down or paying some aspect of your operation. I go out of business. I can't compete. Now the company will raise the prices because they're the only ones in town. Okay, so that's a quick overview. Selling products in a foreign country, right? Lower than it's produced in the country. And that's usually just some kind of intervention by the government. Dumping is prohibited. China, Brazil, and Russia have been penalized for dumping steel in the U.S. So we've got some tariffs on there. That means they can't, they got to pay additional tax. But since it's global, they ship to another country that doesn't, and they come back to a third party. I'm not trying to say this it's illegal, hard to prove, but sometimes they do it and try to get some compensation from those countries that they could prove. And sometimes you can follow the paper trail. All right. So now the other thing, strategies to enter into the global market. You first have to find a need. I'm saying first you find a need for your own. Why do people want me? What service, what product am I providing? What's my need? Maybe entertainment, or just something to release stress, whatever. I'm selling something, I'm providing a need. Then how do I get into that market? And here's the ones listed in order from the easiest to the hardest. The easiest license is to get a license agreement, but then I have to worry that they may be making it and I won't be able to do it. So, all right, let's just go with this real quick. Open up this, that's what I promised you. Okay, spending little to produce a product, you just license it, and they manufacture, a foreign company license for fee or royalty. Licensees, foreign company buys the rights of royalty to the licensor. Use trademark, lowest risk. Benefit of licensing gains revenue. You don't have to do much. Just give us an agreement to you put my label, my logo. I certify this up to my quality, my standards. Maybe you're using the same suppliers to produce or market their products. The other one's franchising. We're going to go more into chapter 5. I think next one is ethics, and in chapter 5 we'll talk about forms of businesses. It'll make a little more sense, but right now it's a contractual agreement where someone with a good idea or business sells others the rights to use the name, sells the product and service in a given area. Now, franchisor, think of franchisor as employer, the boss, to the countries they serve, need to be careful to adapt their products. And if you look at young brands, they have a lot of different fast foods underneath their, Kentucky Fried Chicken, I think it is. I want to see Pizza Hut. Look it up. They have a lot they're always picking up and selling off. That's just what companies do. But look at that. But they, they franchise out there. They have a royalty. So they're already in the business. So they could expand their operations, but they adjust to the host countries. Like I say, let's say McDonald's may have beer, and McDonald's in Italy may have wine, because the culture accepts the drinking of wine as in every, like we would do coffee or something else. You know what I mean? So they may have a beer, so there's something that, and they adjust it to maybe some kind of a taste or some of the flavor. They may have hamburgers or something, a side dish with sauerkraut, or something that will adjust to that host country. In the author, we talked about that when you did the exercise. What's different about a different country when I try to sell to them? Okay, contract manufacturing. Again, that one's where the foreign company produces private goods to which the domestic company then attaches its own brand name or trademark. A form of outsourcing can be used to temporarily meet unexpected increasing in orders, experiment in new market. Problem is, you got to make sure, unless you have someone there, that they are putting the same ingredients, the same quality into their product, because your name is standing behind there. So you have to have a good relationship with them. You have to understand that they have good laws and everything else that the quality comes out. I'll leave that at that, because we beat that topic in class. Okay, joint ventures. It's a partnership between two or more companies joined to undertake a major project, share in profits and risks. Some of the benefits are share marketing, management expenses, shared technology, and risk, entering into the market where foreign companies are often not allowed unless goods or services are produced locally. So I joined a partnership. They already got the relationship. Look at here. You look at Volkswagen and everything else. They got their own dealers now, but when they first came in, they came in underneath a partnership with another car that wanted to sell, General Motors, maybe a trucking company, or I'm just looking way back, and they've got large trucks, or larger vehicles, but they don't want to get into the market. The smaller ones, there's a niche for it, so I'll bring in some imports to take care of that customer niche. It's a relationship. I got the distributions, I got the customer base, and I'll hit a different market in there, and we're making both profitability, and maybe after I learn the market, I can open up my own dealerships, and that's what you see happen. Strategic alliances is a long-term partnership between two or more companies established to help each company build competitive market advantages. And the protocol is they don't typically share costs or risks, management or profits. They're just a partnership, like the milk industry. They're doing ads, drink more milk, even though they're different competitors, different companies, but they share the cost to bring that good a message back. Hey, milk is good for your bones, your health, and all that. Okay, foreign direct investment. Remember, these are, you're going down the line, the hardest to hardest. Foreign direct investments are basically buying permanent property and business in foreign markets. So now you're saying I'm not just an exporter, importer, or you're just what do you call it? An international market for me. I'm actually building a facility there. Now I am truly an international company because I got facilities in different areas. I'm taking more of a risk. I'm helping the infrastructure within your economy. I'm part of it. It helps me if they put any kind of tariffs because I am local now. It helps me on any kind of cost savings and good marketing because I'm actually helping the economy that I'm basically getting customers buying my products. Okay, and now foreign subsidiaries is a company owned in a foreign country by another company called a parent company. Most common form of foreign direct investment. Okay, primary disadvantages: must commit funds and technology within foreign boundaries. Primary advantages: parent company maintains complete control over its expenses. Now, multinational corporations, company that manufactures and markets products in many different countries and has mutual stocks and ownership and management. Not all large global businesses are multinational. Okay, only firms that have manufacturing capacity at some other physical presence in different nations can truly be multinational. But it's a long one. There's a lot. So remember, when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at this one here on the strategies to enter. Strategies to enter. I basically have all of these. Okay, if I'm, I don't want to close them all off, but basically going from. Let me just do this real quickly. Level 1. Okay. Basically, license the easiest, franchise the next, contract manufacturing, joint ventures, strategic alliances. That's just a partnership like for two companies together. Foreign direct investments most expensive because now you're actually making a commitment there. Otherwise, you're just a tourist. A mutual multinational corporations. And what's the definition of that? Okay, getting help to trade. How do I get help? You have export assistance centers in the Small Business Association, and there's one located. I teach at two community colleges. Harper has one at HBC. It's in off of. I want to say in Palatine, and look it up at Harper's in Cook County. In College Lake County, their Small Business Association is right on the main campus on the third floor, and they'll be able to help you out. Provide hands-on exporting and assistance. Wish to directly export for companies who wish to directly export goods and services. Trade finance support. They're going to help you out here for small and medium business size. What do? Export training centers. Now, these are centers to help companies engage in direct exporting by matching buyers and sellers. Look at it as an e-harmony or a e-commerce harmony or a business harmony. That'd be a nice business venture for somebody to come up there. How do I match it for smaller business companies? Dealing with foreign customs offices, documentation and conversion of cash, and how to get goods there to understand the custom. Now, when I look at sovereign wealth, is investment funds controlled by governments holding large stakes in foreign companies. Remember, if other than and it could be you have some large companies or countries could buy certain assets here legally because we sell them. If it's a real large, you got to be approved by by our government to make sure of our national security. But mostly, but a lot of other countries like where you have like a regime ruled, they could say, they own the country. If you go on socialism or communism, the majority is all government owned. But then you also have like socialist countries that we've talked about in chapter 2 in economics. They have a government presence within some of their board members and everything else. It's just the way the business is set up depending on the country. So they already have assets underneath a corporation name. Now I, as another outsider, could say, hey, I want to make sure I buy this facility. Not only does it make coal for the local thing, but for me to control my coal, my supplier, because I'm going to sell coal or oil back home to because I need it for my own expenses. I want to lock in it. Okay? Something like hedging when you take me for finance, international finance. Okay, now, so I've got that sovereign wealth. We took care of that. You just be careful. You know what I mean? The sovereign wealth, basically the payment. Or if I look at sovereign wealth, look at it this way. If you look at the city of Chicago, privatization, and they have other companies coming in. Now look at it global. It's somebody from another a country, another business outside the U.S. actually coming in. So it's somebody else privatizing, doing all the meters and parking, and most likely the companies may be located in another state or maybe another country. They're just buying the rights, and they pay the city a certain amount of royalty or upfront costs, and they get certain guarantees or anything else on there. It's a contractual agreement because they had, the city has the right of those parking meters, and they sold that right off. So does that make sense? I'm trying to get you so you have an analogy, understand what sovereign wealth is. So, but that money coming back should help the constituents, not to go back into the pockets of politicians. I'm not saying that's what's happening in Chicago, I'm talking about, or to the government. It should be spread out. I think the money coming out of that was supposed to be helping the schools and everything else, or some kind of a social program. That's what how they. I think it was sold when they did to the individuals. Okay, so what do we have forces affecting trade? Cultural differences. Must be aware of the differences among nations, social structures, religion, language, values, beliefs. Look, I may not agree with your religion. I may not believe in your religion. I may not believe in some of your country politics or some of your mannerism, but as a business individual, we all have our own individuals. I like certain things. I mean, I like certain things. But if you're an opportunity for me to sell and do business for you, and I always stress that, I will try not to do anything just like I would do with the domestic or local customers, not to say anything derogatory or offensive. Because my whole thing is to build that relationship with you, understand our differences, find that common thread, and could we make commerce so it's beneficial for you and it's beneficial for me in a business. When two businesses are talking together and the beneficial is there and the economic tie is there, it's harder for the government to start fighting each other because you'll say, hey, we're both going to lose out. They're not going to get the products. We're not going to get the product. Who suffers? Just because I'm saying no, we stand up, is our population suffers. Our constituents. If our constituents suffer, they'll vote us out or rebel, whatever. Okay? So it makes good sense, right? From a business. And from a business, I want to just, my market is, I can only sell so many, everyone's got this product. I could expand my market. And the same when they come here. They try to understand us and try to make us feel comfortable, even though we have our own differences, but we put away those differences and just work with the commonality. And my whole job is to make you buy my product or me buy your product, and so there is an exchange between cultures, between businesses. Not only, same thing you find out when they have when people go to vacations, they meet other people. They say, hey, I don't agree with the government. People are pretty nice. We agree with everyone else. All right. But just be safe. Now, exchange rate, we already talked about that, is higher value. Okay, one nation's currency to another nation's currency. High value of the dollar. Remember the cost of the dollar. Dollar is trading for more foreign currency. Foreign currencies are less expensive. When the low dollar, dollar is trading less for foreign currencies. Foreign goods are more expensive, so our goods are more what do you call it? I don't say are less expensive, so they'll buy our goods other than their own host country. Dollar is trading for less than foreign goods are more expensive. Currencies float in value, demanding on the supply and demand from them in global market. Right now, the dollar's strong. When all of a sudden the European Union, they have a lot of issues with immigrations and other stuff going on within the European Union. So now the euro is dropping down. So now the value of the euro is dropping down. People are trying to get rid of it before. It's almost like buying stock. The goods is a commodity, and it's not. I'm not going to get as much, so I try to exchange them. Now, from a multinational company that has operations in different international subsidiaries, I may just keep the money there because now it's less expensive, or I have a better return on the currency that I keep in that country, and then when it's more favorable, then I bring it back to the host country. So you have to look at that. There's more. So if you're taking after this class, you'd like to go into international business. I know the community college at Harper, they have international finance in there. It's pretty good international. Just starting off international business in there. There's another school that has it in there. That's also, another, depends on the district. You could, look at your community colleges. You'll be surprised what dollar value you're going to get out of them. Okay? Now, devaluation is lower the value of the nation's currency relative to others, and that's something that the Chinese are doing with the yen. Counter trading, the money is worthless, so I'm looking kind of like a bartering, a complex form of bartering in which several countries trade goods or services for other goods and services. And I used Russia for a while. The ruble's on the market being traded, but if I look before, they wouldn't trade the ruble. It wasn't on the market, so we would either give them Pepsi, Coca-Cola, or something else, and they would, for a barter, is equivalent to so much dollars, or a conversion of that, and then we would receive vodka or other goods that was more of their things that exported because they were doing good in that. Okay, legal and regulatory. There is no global systems of laws. Laws may be inconsistent. Foreign Corruption Act is more for the U.S. U.S. businesses must follow U.S. law while conducting business, global business. Just because I'm in Rome, I just do what the Romans. If they say it's uncorrupt, that's just part of doing business. No, we have to. This act says we should not be buying. We should. Our ethics should be as strong as they are here in the U.S. Okay. Now, agencies are another way of organization for economic cooperation. Transparent internationals, they're out there to fight corruptions and bribery in foreign companies and have limited success. Sometimes you look at the NGOs, and NGOs is non-government organizations outside. Okay, economic and financial. Here's economics. No common currency. You have to look. Some countries they use the U.S. as their currency and just rely on their central banks. Others have control how many dollars flow in and flow out. Venezuela is one like that. They don't want more of the U.S. dollars because you buy more, so they limit on how many dollars could come in. So people would have to utilize their currencies. Okay, environmental factors, developing countries, difficult or impossible systems to make international distributions, have transportation and storage systems. Technical capabilities are far from those in the U.S., which makes tough for a business environment. Okay, so these are some environmental developmental. They may remember effective production. I got the land, they've had the money, and you got the labor force, but they're not the labor force I need at the skill set I need. So I may have to bring my own workers in there to work in that environment. Okay. Okay, tariffs. What are tariffs? Trade protection, use of government regulations to limit imports of goods and services. We talked about the dumping. Advocates of protectionism is to believe that allows domestic producers to survive and grow and produce jobs. Right now, if there's unfair practices or they're doing something unfairly and it makes us uncompetitive, then that's when the government starts using tariffs. Trade protection to minimize that effect on their own local industries. Okay, so tariffs. You have two types. You have taxes and imports, making import goods more expensive. Protective is raise the retail price of imports so domestic goods are competitively priced. That's because I could and I can. Revenue is just because I can. Cash, towaway, you don't have to use a towaway, but raise money for the government. But I need some money, so I put a revenue tariff. Anything comes in, you got to pay so much, and you pay the government or the host company. Okay. Now, import quota limits the numbers of products in certain categories for a nation can import. Embargo, we're lifting the embargo in Iran. A complete embargo. We have an embargo or a limited embargo in Russia. We have a complete embargo in North Korea. All right. A complete ban on imports or exports can lead to embargoes of certain products, the stopping of all trade with a particular country. Okay, political disagreements can lead to embargoes, like the U.S. embargo had against Cuba. We're lightening that up. We're opening it up. We have diplomatic. We're creating. We always have. I think they use Sweden as the consulate there for any kind of requests or communication between Cuba and the United States, since we severed our diplomatic. A communication. We've got that open up. We open up an embassy there. We're making that trades going in there. So from business perspective, hey, it's a nice place for tourism. It's a nice place to do that. They have a lot of stuff we could go there and buy and sell, and it helps both economies. Okay, merchandise, we sell more and buy less. Okay. Okay, legal concerns. There's no global systems of laws. Laws may be consistent. Corruption or bribery in foreign. General information organization for economic development. OECD. I'm not much into acronyms. If it comes up, just figure you'll do it. I'll try not to put that in the exam. U.S. business must follow U.S. laws while conducting global business. Remember, because there's no international law. There is international laws we'll talk about later on, but not that it could be enforceable. It's we're recommending more like that. Okay, trade agreements. Now looks like it's just a trade agreements. The general trade agreement, or GATT, general trade agreement on tariff and trade, and we have a global forum for reducing trade restrictions. We want commodities to come back and forth. The easier it makes it, I don't have to do all the paperwork, all the trade, because we have trust, we have agreements in place. It works to the benefit of the government because it brings income in, brings income out. It works in benefit for the economy as a whole, because as business, it's easier for me to export and import supplies or export my goods. Okay, so we had that. Okay, World Trade Organization, headquartered Geneva, World Trade, WTO, Global Mediation, Cross-Border Issues, is an independent entity in 159 member nations whose purpose to oversee global business practices. Here's a website, go on it. Easy to talk about everything else. They got videos. Good website. I don't have the time now, but if you're really interested in going global business, understand the different trade agreements. Understand that the more you understand, when you're looking at the individual agreements and which countries we have, are those the countries I want to do my exporting and importing from. NAFTA, basically, if I look at NAFTA, North American Trade-Free Agreement, that's between Canada and Mexico. Common markets create more jobs in the U.S. Limit protective agreements. Labor against fear of loss. Those are some of the negatives. Response to offense to EU. When the EU was being formed, looking at the United Europe. When that's formed, look at it. If everything worked well to the federalism and they figure out their sovereignty, I'm still in Illinois, but I'm still an American. If they figure that sovereignty out, it was considered to be a strong competitive as the United States. They have a little different federation, but it would be two powers like that. So that's why, where do we get more inexpensive labor? And Mexico that's where the trade agreements are. So both countries are supposed to benefit. Look up NAFTA, on their site, see how benefited it was. Then go to the Mexican site and look up on theirs, the trade what do you call it, organizations, and see what they say NAFTA is doing to their commerce, or do they think it's a fair, who has a better advantage? That's how you do the research. Don't look at one side, because there's always a bias from the U.S. side, and understand there's a bias from the Mexican government on NAFTA. And now you have both biases, and you as an individual use your critical thinking skills. That's what you're going to school. That's what you're doing as a business, and see. Okay, I can see what's going on. I can see. You kind of come out to the truth. Okay. Okay, so CAFTA basically got it in there. It's a Central American Free Trade, passed in 2005, created a free trade zone. When I say free trade, it's not moving people, it's basically moving commerce back and forth. And here's the countries on there. European Union, if I look at that, they've got 13 stars, and it's similar to the United States, stronger, newer economy, right? 12 million new jobs, export import, even though it's having problems with the euro. Some countries aren't doing as well. It's a bailout, just like we got Puerto Rico is going into bankruptcy. We have some other states that, pretty close. I don't say state of Illinois. I hope not. Not common market, so it's euro, and it's global currency. That's the euro. That's the currency they use. New opportunities for the market, single market, no barriers. Here, no physical. People could go back and forth, financial, But what would happen is what's happening is you have people going because they got a better unemployment service or whatever. So they're going. There's no different in the United States. You go here's you have to wait so much. So you go to Wisconsin, they have a better unemployment compensation pay or a social welfare program to help people go on. But they say, hey, so everyone's going on the border. We'll go there. We got better rights and we come back here. So a lot of the countries are saying, wait a minute, we all don't have the same benefits. Since we don't, you get those benefits, but you have to be here working for 7 months, 8 months, like a pre-ump first or something, before, because you don't want people just coming over, utilizing, because then it's going to be a drain in that local economy. Okay? And then Eastern Bloc forces, and the other one coming in low paying, no semi work. So when you look at the European Union, when the fall of communism, for lack of better words, or breakup happened there, and the unification of Germany, that was good. Germany was already very stable economically, has a good balance of trade, does a lot of trading, they have a lot of contact, but the labor force was, real high-end labor force, but they didn't have the low-skilled, non-technical labor. So once they unified, they opened up, so now they could keep their costs down for basic manufacturing products. Okay? And, they talk about giving up soundtree. ISO 9000 should be aware of it. International standards. You're going to do business internationally. Outside, it's almost like a UL label you're doing in here. So a lot of companies have to be international organization. Looks at quality. It measures everything else. It's a process, long procedure process. You're certified in so many years. You have to have this procedure. So they know that, hey, when I buy your product, it's went through these stringent processes or procedures, and now I know I've got the best quality. Something's wrong, they could identify exactly where it's at. So you need that label, that verification. Let's cover Brazil, just another trading product. New free trade agreements, and you've had free trade agreements are being negotiated with Colombia and Panama. Trans-Pacific, U.S. is considering agreement with 9-nation free trade. Remember, some say it's going to take away our work. Some say it's not. We're in global. Let's try to get the best way we could sell our products, since we're picking up on our manufacturing and doing other stuff. Let's see, do I have it all? That's it? Sorry, let me bring this back in here. And I'll bring this into 150. There we go. All right, brief finish. Hang on 1 second. I'll just expand it back, and then I'll do a conclusion. All right? Okay, so we've done everything. We got legal concerns. We got trade agreements. You've learned a lot here. We've covered a lot. Remember, you're not going to be an expert on this. What you do in this class, and I keep on reminding, the Introduction to Business class is a survey course, which means for some people it's the only business class you have. For other individuals, it gives them the good overview of what's going on. All this, and always, even if you're a small business, what could I export? I've got the E things. What can I do? How can I get people? That opens up market. Don't be, start off small. Don't be, do one product, but always think of that. Look, when you look at research, only like 33% export. If you look at the European Union, you have probably about 45 to 65% do exporting small business. Germany, big small, is predominantly run by medium to small businesses. You got the larger one. The majority of their people do exporting. We should be looking at exporting, even if I have my small business, or either to import some goods or to but export. Get it locally. Do not close that door. All right. My name is Dr. George Mochocki. See you next chapter 4. We'll be talking about ethics. Look me up. I'm in a community college. I teach in community college in Lake County and in Cook County. Look me up there. Try to take some of my classes. I'm an adjunct or a contractor for the school. This helps me pay off my student loan commitment. And I'll see you next in our next section. Bye.